Hey, we're back here on the show, and I think just in time because we've got Lesley Edwards here now, dating and relationship coach, and she's got Mars Venus, CoachLesley.com. Mars and Venus, right? Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. That means that Veronica is from Venus. And in fact...
It's a place to be.
And are you from Mars?
Well, I don't want to... I can't... I did see Obama there in the 70s, but that is a different story.
Yes.
Now, and you have a giant statue, I just heard, of Venus in your backyard?
I do. The goddess of love is in my backyard. She is huge.
Like, is it a replica of the famous Venus de Milo?
Yeah, it's not quite like that, but
Does she have arms?
She does, and she's got flowers in her arms, and she's got flowers in her hair, and all my friends know her. My neighbors know her because she's over my fence, and she's got lights in her head, so it's pretty cool. It's very cool.
That's weird. I mean, that's a whole
I
interview
will not
right
tell
there.
you how she got there.
Maybe we'll do a little interview.
That's not going to be on this channel.
Now we know what we need to be talking about. Okay?
Get right to it.
Okay, well, let's talk about this Venus and Mars.
Yes.
With Lesley. So I'm not sure where to start here, Lesley, but how did you get into this, first of all?
That's funny. Veronica was just asking me. Basically, the short story is when I would go to parties and meet people and they would find out that I was a dietitian, they were a lot more excited about it than I was. And I realized I didn't want to talk about their diets and any of that. I just wanted to know, are you seeing someone? How did you meet? Because I've always been obsessed with love stories.
Oh.
Wow. So that was your passion that you were following and not your job.
Absolutely. And one of my best friends, because I was like, I think I want to change careers. I don't feel like I'm really making the difference I want to make, because I was working in acute care in hospitals. And nutrition is just not my passion. And he was like, well, what's your favorite thing? What would you just... And I was like, well, talk about relationships, but like, that's everyone. And he's like, no, that's you. And it was like, what?
That's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
So great. So you found your passion?
Yeah, and I had loved John Gray's work, the author of Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
That guy that started it all.
Is he Canadian, that guy?
He's not.
No.
He's Californian.
That's why.
And yeah, all I knew was I have enough degrees. I'm not going back for any more formal education. And he had a training program, and so I got to go and train with him personally. And now I'm one of their lead trainers, and we get to train and there's coaches from around the world. The Middle East is like the biggest growing area for Mars Venus coaches.
So you don't really actually, do you coach yourself, your clients, or do you coach other
Coaches.
Oh, both.
coaches?
Yeah.
They're going to be coaches.
Yeah. I absolutely support other Mars Venus coaches. Basically, my expertise when I'm coaching them is delivering workshops and how to find, your own authentic voice for what your message is going to be.
Right.
So I love supporting them in that way. But yeah, my real passion is people struggling with dating.
Oh, okay. So that was my... Okay, Veronica's putting up her hand. But I just want to say, so that's your main thing, is to help people who are struggling.
My new best friend.
But really, it's really people trying to find their perfect, ultimate partner, right? I mean, that's like, you got a big market out there, right?
Yeah.
Starting right here.
Unfortunately, yeah, that is the case. My vision is that, obviously there's a lot of people, because we know what kind of the divorce rate is pretty high. But even beyond that, even people who are still in marriages don't necessarily have the kind of love that, for me, what life is about, what my life is about, is the kind of love that brings out our gifts in a way that only love can. And so that's my vision, that all relationships, all marriages are that.
Yeah. So, is there such a thing? Okay, no, I'm not going to ask that stupid question, not right now. But are men really from Mars? And are women really from Venus?
This is interesting, right? Given all of the topics around even gender identity and all of those things that have kind of started in our city. What I love about this as a metaphor is, it's based on generalities, but really it's about our masculine and feminine essence. And so most men, so they say about 80% of men identify as having a masculine core, and about 85% of women identify as having a feminine core. And those, I would say, are the essences of Mars and Venus.
Well, it's kind of like two forces, right? It's like yin
Absolutely.
and yang.
Because, and we all have both of them.
All of us, I mean, even if people don't identify with one gender or the other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
And the cool thing is, because I know there's kind of this myth out there that us gals are in our masculine all the time. In reality, we're in neutral most of the time.
What gals?
Us gals.
Probably entrepreneurial women, I would say.
For sure.
Our class-
career. I mean, the
Yeah.
women that I work with are successful, ambitious women.
Yeah.
So we've been used to
All right.
kicking butt.
So
We've been used to having to kick butt.
Right. So the
Yes.
men are from Mars. Most women are from Venus, but the Amazon women are on the moon. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they get to do whatever they want.
With whoever they want.
Yeah.
Is that the problem though with some women? Or, okay, what is the problem?
Okay, what's
Because
the problem?
It does seem
Yeah.
that to me, that there are a lot of people that I look at. I won't name names, but that I think they're great people. They should be in a fabulous relationship, but they are finding it difficult to find someone who they can really love. Right? What's
Yeah.
going on?
Absolutely. I think it really starts with whatever your natural essence is. If you are, I'll say, in the 80 to 85% of gals with a feminine core, and you're spending a lot of time, because some of the essence of the masculine is that make it happen, go get it, produce the results kind of energy, and we're used to that. We've been raised in that. Like the school system and the work system were created for men by men because that's what works for men. Mm-hmm. And we've grown up in that system and produce results in that system, and we think, okay, good. Mm-hmm. And then we bring that to
A relationship.
the love world,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh. Because what has us bond in that traditional sense, because even in same-sex relationships, there is someone who has more of a masculine core and more of a feminine core. And they also can alternate back and forth. Because everything is a spectrum. Everything's a spectrum. So what works is that polarity that the masculine gives and the feminine receives. Mm-hmm. That creates bonding. Mm-hmm. So it's coming home to our natural essence, whatever that is and wherever on the spectrum you are.
All right. Let's talk about Veronica now.
Veronica.
You know what? You're sitting there going, I want to back out of this so badly. I don't want to get caught up in this. And I'm looking at you going, it's coming to me. I can see it.
I'm just joking. We don't have to do that, Veronica.
Listen, okay, I'm single. And I have to say, one of my very, very dear friends, whenever he drives, and I'm the passenger, and I even remotely say, this lane is open. He put your back in your pants and let me drive, And it's amazing how, when you are independent and you take care of yourself, you run your own business, your house, your car, your career. You're doing it all yourself, from groceries to dry cleaning to you have no support staff at home, meaning, a significant other that hopefully supports you. And, how do you go from overdrive to neutral in a relationship? So for me, I've always been really attracted to very dynamic, entrepreneurial type of men, because I just feel we're kind of at the same energy. But where are they?
Everywhere.
So
Totally.
that's
Look,
yeah.
they're everywhere.
Maybe you can give me some. Why don't you give everybody who's in my position ideas? How do you go about this? What would you say to me if I was yours? Patient. I'm not patient. What is that? Client?
Client, yeah.
Might as well be a patient.
Client, yes, we're not treating you.
Treat me. Cure me.
So, one of my favorite aspects of the feminine that we all have is desire. Mm-hmm. Desire is the beginning of everything. It's the seed of every amazing invention, every great love story,
song.
every great song. And actually getting connected to desire. So what I found, so I was absolutely one of those people who was driving hard and where's all the great men? We live in this small city, Toronto, and there's no one interested. I hear you. And completely lost my train of thought. Where the heck was that going?
Well,
Okay, you were talking about what happened to you. I'll bring you back. And so it happened to you. You were wondering
desire.
yourself.
Thank you, darling.
A good thing I'm listening.
This is the cool
I'm
thing
taking
about the
notes,
feminine.
actually.
Well, this is the cool thing about the feminine, where the masculine part of us is very, very black and white, right,
Yeah.
wrong.
I'm black and white too, though.
Well, of course,
Yeah.
because we have a very well-developed masculine sense.
Yes.
The
Oh,
feminine
good
part
point.
Of us, the
Good
feminine
point.
part of us is very much in the shades of gray.
Okay.
So we're changeable, we're adaptable,
Yes.
and a lot of the masculine interpretation of that is you're flaky. You like this day, you don't like this day. I can't count on you, you know? Or like you think about in the bedroom.
Well, wait.
Sometimes that thing totally works, and other times you'll, nah, leave
Oh,
it.
somebody just.
well, that's the feminine side you're talking about. That
Yes.
the men view as fickle and
Yes.
they don't get it.
Because
right?
they're
Like,
black
That's a
and
good
white.
one.
Because they're black and white.
Because the guy goes, she's going on about her problems and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, well, do this and that and that and this and it'll be fixed.
No, just
she's
listen.
going-
Just listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
It's counterintuitive
I don't
entirely.
get it. You don't want solutions?
Listen, I've got the great communication and listening skills. It's just like I need somebody there to
Well,
reciprocate.
it is, and it's also because
So how do you go about finding, your match or whatever?
But that is important too, because we actually deal with stress in different ways based on our brain chemistry. And I'm a science geek, so I love actually getting into the science. And John Gray is actually very much, he's kind of crossed over from relationships into nutrition and science. What he realized is as much great information you can have about relationships, if hormones are way out of balance and people are crazy stressed to the max, you've got to bring things back into balance first.
Right.
But one of the ways that we deal with stress is by talking. Right? That actually brings down our cortisol levels.
So there's no
It
stress
brings
here.
up, we need oxytocin to bring down, right? That's like our feel good hormone. And that brings down our stress, our cortisol levels. Where the men, testosterone is what brings down your cortisol levels. So things that produce testosterone are taking action, doing things, having solutions. And when there isn't a clear solution, then forget about it.
Good point.
Or something.
You don't have a solution right now, or we're not going to take action right now, then forget about it.
Yeah.
And that actually can produce testosterone for men as well.
But that's the opposite for the women. 'cause they
Doesn't
don't
work
get
for us,
shot.
though.
So, yeah.
Because then it's actually how we, and you know this.
Because you're shutting down.
No, we're not shutting down. We're giving
you're
you
on
some
pause.
solutions
You're on
here.
pause.
You're just not listening.
Yeah, exactly, because we're not feeling heard, and that's one of the number one ways that the feminine feels loved is, oh, you really care.
Yeah.
He really gets me, feeling understood. And so how we find our own solutions is by being heard. But a great thing that we can do to just preface that whole thing with a guy who wants to help us, which is a sign that they love us, they're giving us solutions. They don't want us to be stuck in this thing. Otherwise,
right.
they could just walk away and say, deal with it on your own. But they're saying, hey, you could do this, you could do that. That's love. That's support.
See, that's the woman needs to understand that about the guy, and the
No,
guy.
I'm saying that's great. What the woman can actually do, though, is say, oh, God, I just got to vent. I just got to, let me just,
It's called
lay this
communication.
on
Really
you.
communicate.
Well, she's got to understand where
So
he's coming
he
from.
knows
Yeah.
Vice
that
versa.
he doesn't have to respond.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He doesn't have to give solutions. It's just like, I just got to say this.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's so true.
I know. It's like exactly.
So, anyways, back to desire. How do we find these great guys?
Yeah.
So, in my experience, most people who are single, 100% of their relationships have not worked out to this point.
Well, obviously.
And so we have a ton of references
Yeah.
for what doesn't work. And so why would we invest in desire? Why would we think about what we want when 100% of our experience had said, it's not going to happen. It hasn't happened. So the first thing that I do with people is actually repair that relationship with desire. Because when desire is intact, it's fuel for us. Like you said, that great book or that great song, it's just like, it just flows through us. And it's just like, yum, yes, I want that. So that's the first
The
thing.
feeling.
Yeah, because, and you think about all these manifesting things, they say,
Yeah. Feel it.
yeah, it's not only having the vision board, but you've got to
Yeah.
feel the feelings and feel what it'll feel like when you have it. But
That's right.
when you haven't had it for so long, and when you think about what you want, you just feel like guilt and pain and disappointment. I don't know how it's going to feel when I have it. I have so many awful feelings connected to this whole experience. So it's actually repairing that relationship with desire. And my favorite way is, I think about the Sears Wish Book.
The what? The Sears Wish
The
Book?
Sears Wish Book.
I remember
Do you remember the Sears Wish Book?
the Eaton's catalog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Eaton's catalog.
I know. I was.
Because it
I was
has
thinking
another
Eaton's
use afterwards if you live up north.
Fair enough. So I've heard. But the Sears Wish Book for me was like, that was the best day of the year. And it would have all the toys that you could ever want from Santa. And I would look through that catalog and think about, oh my gosh, okay, if I could have anything on this page, what would I want?
yeah.
Because I knew, if you asked Santa for something, he could make that in his workshop. He could make anything.
Right.
So that's the process that I walk my clients through, is like, essentially we open up the wish book and start having some fun again. Because
that's a good
otherwise,
idea.
how do you cultivate those fun feelings of actually thinking about this thing that is really important to I mean, the highest priority of the feminine is love and relationships.
What's the highest priority for the man?
Freedom.
Freedom.
I was going to say something else.
What were you going to say?
Procreation.
Oh.
And
Freedom and
freedom
and
to
purpose.
procreate. No,
And purpose, right? Which
Yeah.
is usually your
Yeah.
access to freedom.
Okay. Now let me ask you something. Okay, I think we're in a new world now. Now we see the whole marriage thing going down, basically, right? Like the numbers, divorce rates up, people not being able to find their relationships. But I just think about the world now, even different now than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Because of the internet. Because what I think is, I think about those little towns, that our great-grandparents grew up in, where they might have 100 possible, or maybe that's a high number even, but 100 possible partners for them, life partners, right? But now, with the internet and everything, only in the last 20 years, I mean, there's billions of potential partners, right? So to me, I mean, the chances of getting the right one actually are a lot higher because you have a lot more to choose from, right? Your Eaton's catalog is this thick now.
You couldn't even hold it. Yeah. So, and your question is?
Well, I think maybe we have the potential really for people to really find the true love that they really are looking for now more than ever,
Absolutely.
right? But so what's in the way?
Oh, boy. A lot of things.
That was a great question.
Yeah. I mean, so much has changed. And
Is it too easy with the
well,
internet?
the illusion is that it's easier. The illusion is that it's easier. And like, take online dating, for example. It's generally, because we know a third of people online dating are on an app or a website are never going to go on a date. A third of them.
Really?
Because there are these people like me. When my last relationship ended, I was like, what is this? I've heard about it. Tinder.
Oh, I see.
How does it work? I just want to go on and see.
Yeah.
And see what kind of attention I get.
Yeah,
what kind
yeah.
of,
Yeah,
just from a curiosity and exploring. And also, it's a very low entry.
Right.
It's
right.
a gateway drug
It's kind
into
of-
dating.
gateway drug.
It's like
into
the
dating.
Eaton's catalog
That's exactly right.
online.
That's exactly right. Swipe right. Swipe
It
left.
is, and so at least the clients that I work with actually envision what would be ideal for them and what their sense is that meet their person in quote real life, not online. And like it was 20 years ago. This is the way that we've been meeting forever and ever and ever. And so the online world is so different than that. And you think it's harmless. I'm just going to go, I'm going to create a profile, I'm going to see what's out there and start. But it's predicated on so many things. I mean, the whole way that apps work is so that you get addicted to them and you use them
Right.
a lot.
Yeah.
And you
They're
pay
not-
for the subscription, right?
They're not about helping the people get what they want. They're about making the app successful.
Correct.
Yeah, and I think they do want to help. I don't think it's a malicious intent by the companies at all, but it's not intended to create an environment that has us feel good about the process.
Right.
There is a very small portion of people that I think it's geared to feeling really good about the process. People who, I don't know, I don't even know. There's so many different things. I won't even go there, but
So you're coaching.
It's so easy
you're
to be
coaching
disappointed.
people now, as far as how to find love, right?
yes.
And how's your success rate? Just out of curiosity.
This is good. Yeah, my husband was just asking me because I found out about a couple more pregnancies from women that have done my goddess weekends. So I work one-on-one privately with clients, and I also do these small group goddess weekends. And he's like, "How many goddess babies is that now?" Because there's just a whole bunch. So I don't actually have a number for you.
That's great.
But also people have different goals, so it's kind of hard to measure that. But because some people come to me and they're like, I just got out of a relationship, or I'm in a relationship and it might not be the right one. And how do I navigate that? And some people are like, I want to get married.
Yeah.
So people's goals are very different. But yeah, lots of marriages, lots of babies.
So basically, if somebody was single and came to you, and that you would work on the desire end of it. And what I thought was really interesting is you're really focused on the old-fashioned way, which is not the internet. So does this have anything to do with the vibration, that if you're on the same page, then the universe is going to bring you together regardless?
I really like
is that sort of how it works? Because so many of my friends that are married, like, literally met by chance, and my clients too. That's one of my most favorite questions to ask my clients is, how did you meet?
Yeah.
And 9 out of 10 times, it's the most bizarre way how they met.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like a setup or, you know, a blind date. It was like, I went to Metro after the gym, I was sweaty, and there he was, you know, kind of thing. Like, just random.
Yeah.
So does that mean that both parties were actually ready and prepared for that union?
For sure.
For that meeting? So you're just
Absolutely.
taking it to that level.
Yes. So the desire is the one piece.
Right.
The place that I actually start with people is to look at what's in the way of you. I mean, it's natural for us to connect with the right people. It is actually really natural.
That's interesting.
So when I meet with someone, that's what I'm actually interested in, is just what's blocking you, what's in the way of you naturally connecting with the right people. And then once we uncover that, it's usually one thing kind of at the core of, it looks like a constellation of different things, but it's all kind of a different version of the same essence of that
So you
block.
can like help
You can-
identify
yeah,
whatever that
that's
one.
great.
Yeah, well, that's key, because we need to know what we're working with
Yeah.
to see if it's even a
What
match.
are some examples of that
Oh, good
one
question.
thing?
Oh boy.
I mean, just even a couple, just to.
Well, it's usually different versions of something about worthiness. So whatever their version of not good enough, or
Okay.
you know, what their mom said. Like one question that is a great question that everyone can ask themselves is, what would assuming you grew up in a traditional mom-dad family, what would your dad say is the downside to relationships? What would your dad say is the downside to relationships? And what would your mom say is the downside to relationships? The essence of getting at what is the negative belief system about relationships that we've inherited from our parents, because they're our primary picture of love and relationship. And so they've highly influenced our thoughts about love and relationships growing up. And kind of that critical point is before age 7. That's kind of when we've established most of our belief systems, and especially about relationships. So yeah, just different. It's really just different versions of not good enough. And the key is finding it in your own voice, because once you hear it in your own voice, it's like, oh my gosh,
What does that mean?
I say it all the time. Whatever my version of,
Okay.
Your self-
you know, not
Worthy-
pretty
your
enough, or
self-talk, right?
Worthy.
exactly,
Okay. Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
So once we can get it in the phrasing, because the phrasing is really important, because that's what comes from our unconscious, and that's what I'm interested in, because you know that's where the juice is. If your unconscious was aligned with your desire, you have it. It's clear. So when
I need some
the
alignment then, I guess.
Yeah, just like everything. Just like everything, the body, it's all the same.
No, I'm just thinking. I mean, it's that same thing you could apply to anything, any area
If
of your
you're not
life
in
that
alignment,
you're
yeah.
not happy with, or that you're in lack.
You're
Truly.
out of alignment,
Right?
yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Truly. So from there, once we see what the blocks are, the way that I describe it is like an inoperable tumor. It feels like once we uncover what that is, it's been hidden this whole time. It would be so great to just cut it out and be done with it. Like, I hate that thing. But the reality is, it's part of what shaped a lot of our other amazing qualities, right? Just like an inoperable tumor, it's so close to other important parts of the body, we can't safely cut it out. So I work with this the same way, which is we can't cut it out, but we can cut off the blood supply. Right? So stop feeding that old thing. Notice. It's going to get triggered. You've only just seen it for the first time, and sometimes it's been there for 40 plus years.
It's sort of like when you buy a new car, and let's say it's red, and all of a sudden you're driving, and every car on the street is red. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
Absolutely. It's that reticular activating system of our brain that once we're interested in something, it shows up.
Yeah.
And
I like that. Once we're interested in something, it shows up. I like that.
Yeah. It's like, yeah.
So just get interested in your ultimate soulmate.
I have the vision board.
Both. It's twofold, though.
I have the vision board.
Okay.
And I have the feelings. I really don't think I have any negative feelings about past relationships because they've really been terrific. So I've been thinking that I'm asking for too much. That's what
which is common.
Which is what I think.
Yeah.
And I get it from my girlfriends and my male friends. You are going to have the hardest time finding
Actually, you know what's funny? I have a
somebody
friend.
for you.
I have one of my good friends.
Right? I get that all the time.
I tell him, Steve, lower your standards for crying out
You're
loud.
that's what my friends say to me all the time. And I go, I'm not asking for anything I can't offer.
Yeah.
You know, I always say that. And you know, my male friends, oh, you know what, you're so powerful, men are afraid of you. And it's like, and the girls are like, you know, who's going to be a vegan? Who's going to eat raw food? Like, there aren't that many guys like meat.
That's
know?
okay. We don't need to feed any more of this yucky stuff.
But
You
it's
come
just,
here-
I'm
But
just
it's
saying,
not true.
I'm bombarded with this, and I'm
Absolutely.
like, you know what? No, guys, you're wrong. I'm going to be single until I find this
You know
great
what?
person.
Veronica, you got to come here Monday.
Yeah.
Nothing but vegans here.
It's going to be /speed dating hour. No, but
funny.
okay, so this is good.
So that's, you know, and I'm still holding firm that, hey, I think that person's there somewhere.
Absolutely. So, and I was exactly in the
Yeah.
position that you were and heard all of the same things. So, yes.
I don't believe it. I'm just saying
Yes,
that this
I
is
know.
what I can
But
get
it
bombarded
absolutely
with. Yeah,
influences
yeah,
us,
yeah.
right? Because then we think, well, should I just? So,
I've been working really hard not to let it influence me, to really be clear on what I'm looking for and, you know, who do I want and that kind of thing. So I've
Yeah.
been really focusing on the positivity of that and the energy of it, you know?
yes.
So,
But, and you were asking Hugh about, I'm going to give you, actually, the one from my life. So, because I hadn't had really tragic, terrible examples, and my parents were totally soulmates. And
me too.
had a
That's
great
why I was,
relationship.
when you said that, I'm like, I had great parents. They were so in love.
Yet the thing that was holding me back was when one
share,
of those great
share.
relationships ended, I just said, well, that was perfect, so it's never going to be as good again.
Oh,
It's never going to be as good.
I've never said that.
And then it evolved
I always say
into...
it's going to be better.
Good, I love that. Then it evolved in, you know, like we rationalize it. Because when we actually say it out loud like that, it's like, well, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Of course,
yeah.
Right.
I don't mean that. I don't mean that. But that's the whole, you have to be, to be able to to tap into the unconscious
Right.
and get those messages in that raw, ugly form. You need to be in that victim mentality. That's the only place you can tap into it. So that's what I say to my clients is like, don't be responsible for anything that you're saying as we're doing this uncovering what the blocks are session. Actually, the best place to be is as untransformed as you can be. The most you can be in victim mode and blaming, the most you can actually tap into what is the negative stuff that's blocking you.
Really?
So that was it for
That
me.
is really
It's never going to be
interesting.
as good again. And that, so you can imagine what the trajectory of my relationships were for the next 15 years. Just like less and less connected and gay and not in love until I saw it.
And what did you say yours was? You didn't think it was going to get any better than your last one?
It'll never be as good again.
Oh, okay. So that was
That was
your,
perfect,
was
and
your
that didn't
language.
work.
So
the
that was
real
your
thing
language.
must be a
Okay.
freaking fairy
And
tale.
I've been sitting here going, what do you think? I like to myself. What are you thinking that is stopping
And it's
what is the block?
almost, I'll say, it's almost impossible to see for yourself.
Yeah, that's why you're here.
It really is, because it's there for a reason, because it's keeping us safe. If I continue to believe that, because I stayed forever.
I like that. It's continuing to keep you safe, which
Yes.
means it's keeping you in the same place.
Status
Of
quo.
safety.
Everybody loves the status quo.
But
Even though you think you don't.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
But the
really
thing about the
interesting.
status quo
Yeah.
is, because you
Doesn't-
can't
you don't
actually
go
stay
anywhere.
in the same place.
Yeah.
You're either growing or the opposite.
Shrinking.
So you think you're staying in the same place, but like you saw from my trajectory of relationships, it was just getting worse and worse and worse. So no, I just was shrinking into more and more resignation, and then I was having more and more high expectations and critical judgment of the dating pool that was out there, because it was like,
But then you become
prove to me that you're good enough.
Yeah.
Prove to me that you're interesting enough.
Then you become
worth
one
my
of
time.
these bitter.
Absolutely, because look, I've been hurt so much.
Oh, that's very
I've
interesting.
been hurt so much. So that's part of what I tapped into for people.
Right. So this is what you can do for people. Who are your clients? Mostly men or women or couples or what?
Yeah, mostly single women. I do work with men, but as you can imagine, the Goddess Weekend only for women. And yeah, single women.
Well, men that come to see you must be really tapped into their feminine side, because they're and
You
there's
would
and
think
there's
that.
and there's nothing wrong with that, because I really believe each person has a yin and a yang. And for myself, I go for Chinese acupuncture, and they can tell which side of me is more dominant, because it is broken into two different sides, and what you need to focus on and things like that. So it's not just acupuncture; it's a little therapy as well, right? Just to get more an alignment.
Yeah.
And now I lost my train of thought.
The men are more in their
Yeah.
feminine.
So I would just think that would they be more in tune or in touch with themselves enough that they would reach out for your help.
That's interesting. I wouldn't necessarily say that about
was just
the men that
thinking
I've
of that.
worked with across the board.
Right.
For sure, the latter of what you said.
Mm-hmm.
And the great thing I love about working with men is they're like, okay, I'm not figuring this out on my own. I'm
Yeah.
going to find someone who knows how to do this and
I want
expedite
the
process.
solution. Okay.
Absolutely.
That's interesting.
See,
Right?
because that's what the
Yeah.
guys do, right?
Problem
Getting a
solved.
solution.
Yeah. problem
Absolutely.
solved.
Absolutely.
And that's what I do every day in my job. Is I find solutions for everything.
But you are right on the part of, I mean, what all of us are looking for when we're looking for a relationship, that's a fulfillment of our feminine side, because love and relationships is our feminine. So with men, although I don't phrase it this way,
I love
with
you,
them,
Hugh.
is that's absolutely the part that we're going to do some work on, because that's the part that feels. If you want to fall in love, if you want to have these amazing feelings for someone, you have to be able to feel. And that's another thing that we look at when we do this
Right.
roadmap is, what did mom and dad say about emotions? What was their experience of emotions? And mostly, emotions are, we are, you think of, I think it's an Indian teaching, the 4 realms: mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. I have always been most comfortable with the mental realm, logic, reasoning, all my degrees, they're all focused
yeah.
directly on the how and why. And relationships don't happen. Nothing about relationships is really in the realm of logic and reasoning. The magic of relationships is entirely in the other 3 realms of emotion, what feels good. And how can we follow what feels good if we're not feeling? And the spiritual part, which is, like you said, we're so used to being independent, taking care of everything, is like really leaning back and being supported. So, but not just by a coach, but by knowing that, okay, this is going to work out. The universe has got my back. It's the book that's in my bag right now. But really leaning on something bigger than us, so we don't have to make it happen and be in our masculine entirely. We can just receive the nice attention
Well,
that's
that's what
coming our way.
the women's thing is right? The receiving, the feminine energy receiving, right? So you
Absolutely.
guys don't have to worry about it. The guys have to do all the work.
But that's the thing. Is like, what do you do when you're worrying about it anyways? Because we tend to be good at that too.
Do you think it's gonna? Do you think we're gonna get to a point where people are in long-term happy relationships? Most people,
Yes,
all
absolutely.
around the world.
Yes, absolutely.
Really? By what year?
Sooner rather than later, I hope. I don't know what it's like. The reflection of our world, I think, is also a reflection of the level of love that's around on the planet. So I think it's all a perfect match. It's not a coincidence.
Okay.
You know, it's like and I believe it too, that love is the answer. Love is the answer for everything. Yet, how is looking for love so challenging? It's the same place. It's finding love within ourselves, finding love when we look at another person and we're like,
Right.
I don't understand your behavior. I don't understand where you're coming from. I don't understand your choices. But really, love is the answer for, I think, everything in our world.
Do you think men and women need to learn, like sometimes I see guys and they don't seem to understand women at all, or I see women that don't really understand guys at all. And there's a real you get two of those kind of people and they're just totally not going to be able to communicate with each other. Do men have to learn how to deal with women? Are they being improperly socialized?
Well, oh my God, there's so many things.
I didn't like.
See, maybe
I
you should-
think
yeah,
it's absolutely an asset
yeah.
to find out, the things about you that are inherent, like you're masculine, and owning that, because that the byproduct of women coming more into our masculine and being in the work world is that you can't have two masculines, because then we just have war all the time, whether it's in your private relationships or in the world. So what happens when women are standing up in our masculine and being really critical or really directed, then men just sit there, it's like, okay, well, it's not that big of a deal.
That's true.
And so they end up being more passive. And one of my clients who's a lawyer, what does he call it? Deference in the relationship, which kills a relationship because you want to see someone who's engaged. But that's what we're seeing a lot with men, is this more like, okay, well, if you're going to take care of things, then great. But it doesn't create any bonding. So it is also men getting back connected to their essence and their masculine, which is their place, that they feel good and powerful. And committing for men, committing to something, whatever it is, a project, a person,
relationship, yeah.
Commitment creates power in men. So
I'm just thinking, this conversation, I could keep having this conversation
This is
all
great.
afternoon.
Yeah.
Because really there are so many issues and there is so much at stake. And,
I think, you know what, this could be a new way of counseling people that have been married for a while and have really just either not evolved in their communication skills with one another because maybe they're not aware of the new style of communicating and respecting and loving and all this other stuff. I think this would be a really great thing for people that are already married, where the relationship, maybe there's very little communication.
yeah.
To kind of connect back and understand the Mars and Venus thing. And listen, we don't all have to be the same. But I think the
Absolutely.
number one thing is to understand each other, to love each other, give each other space, communicate. And there's something that I learned a long time ago, is the different levels of love and the different love communication things.
The love languages?
The love languages. Like some people, love means saying it. Other people showing it with little things. Other people giving gifts. And I don't know where, but somebody asked me once how my parents interacted in the love language. And it was really interesting because I realized I was doing the same thing in how I felt loved. And I was with a particular person who showed it, it was completely opposite. It's sort of like me saying, I love you, and the other person making dinner.
Right.
Like for the person who wants to hear it, making dinner is not, like, I don't know you love me. But the
Completely.
person making dinner is like, man, you have no idea
How
how
much
much
I
I
love
love
you.
you. Look what I made
It's so
for you.
true. It's relationships are
if
the
you don't
place-
speak that same love language, that's really weird too.
It can be.
That's on my top
relationships are
10
the
questions
place.
to ask my dates.
Okay, good.
How do you interpret it, love?
Well, the golden rule is what you're describing, right? Is like, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. That doesn't work in relationships for that
Yeah.
very reason.
Yeah.
So it really is about the platinum rule, which is you give other people what they want,
What
and
they
you
need,
give
yeah.
yourself
Yeah.
what you want.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this has been a very interesting conversation, Lesley, and thanks for coming in today.
Thanks so much for
I
having me.
great.
think made some great points, and I'm sure people out there are resonating with you and probably some of them are thinking, I should give Lesley a call or get in touch with you. What is the best way for them to do that?
I think the website is probably the easiest one.
MarsVenusCoachLesley.com. And you can help them find the love that they really need.
Yeah.
Or want.
Truly. My personal belief is we don't have desires for things that are not meant for us, especially when it comes to love. It's a fundamental.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
That was good, eh?
That was
Veronica?
good. I like that. I like Lesley a lot. I think I'm
see
gonna.
my love
I
language
think
is
I'm gonna
touch?
be calling her. Do I get a discount?
Absolutely.
You don't have to answer that right away.
I know.
Lesley.
Oh, we're live.
Okay. Anyway, thanks for
great.
coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, so we're going to wrap this up.
Okay.
All right. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next time here on... I know you back next Thursday?
I am. I'm your new co-host.
Fantastic.
As long as you want me to be.
See, I wasn't even sure you were going to show
I
up
thought
today.
I was going to interview you.
Well, I don't know if we have time. We'll see. Okay. Anyway, see you next time. Fetch.
Bye.
Bye.